Welcome into KC Sports Tonight. Happy March Madness. It begins today with our first four matchups going on tonight. But before we get to all of that, another big game is also tonight, and that's the World Baseball Classic, where the Royals for the past few weeks have kind of just been dominating the highlights and whatnot coming from those games, whether it's on Team USA, Team Italy, also known as Team New Jersey, or Team Venezuela. Championship game tonight is between the U.S. and Venezuela. Venezuela's first time in that game, and they're, of course, headlined by Salvi. He's team captain. Michael Garcia also there. He scored the go-ahead, or batted in the go-ahead run last night. Gabe, how much attention have you been paying to this World Baseball Classic so far?
A decent amount. I mean, last week I was a little occupied with the Big 12 tournament, but it was every single night. It was something that at least paying attention to the scores and seeing the updates on social media. And certainly
they've been good games. Yeah,
it's been very good games. It's always one of those things that gets people fired up, specifically anytime that – I mean, Sunday night's game between the U.S. and the Dominican was a great game. Saturday night's game between Venezuela and Japan was an incredible game. And even last night, I thought that for a moment, I thought Italy was going to make it to the title game out of nowhere. And that was really surprising to people. But it's been a great tournament. The U.S. kind of they needed the help from Italy to get through the pool play stage. And there was almost a very public outcry about Mark DeRosa maybe not knowing the rules.
Not realizing that he had to win that game.
Yeah. So there was all those kinds of things. But if they win tonight, it will all be forgotten. They haven't won since 2017, I think, was the last time that they won the thing.
Yeah.
So it would be big. I think that this is an event that just continues to grow. And talking to people, I had people text me about the World Baseball Classic who don't watch baseball aside from really like the playoffs or if something crazy is happening, and asking essentially like, how is this Italy team doing this? And I was like, well, it's all Italian American guys.
Well, it's the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah, it's
starting lineup.
Vinny Pasquantino and
Jack
Michael Lorenzen, who's now with the Colorado Rockies and such. But I'm looking forward to tonight and seeing what. Hopefully we get a big Bobby Witt Jr. moment. Not to say that we're rooting against Michael and Salvi necessarily, but I want to see the U.S. win the title. But it's been really encouraging if you're just a Royals fan that a lot of the Royals have played well. Salvi hasn't necessarily so far.
That's been my number one thing. I'm like, every time, like Jack Caglianone's had some good hits. Michael obviously last night, and he's just been playing well for the whole Classic. Bobby Witt Jr.'s crazy snags. It feels like every time the U.S. have played, like Bobby Witt Jr. has kind of crashed Twitter for a second, and everyone's just talking about his crazy snags at short. So it's kind of like when we watch this, we're like, okay, do this next month.
Yeah.
Do it next month. And then every month after that for the next 6 months.
Yeah. There's been a lot of comments about Bobby's defense from people nationally. And it's like, we see this every night.
Every day. You just don't pay attention because they're the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah.
And they're not the Yankees or the Dodgers or whatever else. But yeah, it'll be a good game. Venezuela's first time in it, like that's obviously a great storyline. Salvi team captain. A lot of reasons for Kansas City baseball fans to watch tonight's game. And kind of the same as you said, like people have been texting me who like don't watch baseball. Like I know of people who don't watch baseball and they've just been watching these games because they're just so full of fun plays and highlights.
Yeah. Win or go home baseball is different, and this tournament is we've had 4 quarterfinals, 2 semifinals in this game, so it's essentially 7 consecutive game 7s.
Yeah.
From a like vibes and intensity standpoint.
Yeah. It'll be a good one. It starts at 7 tonight. We will have highlights tonight at 10, and hopefully some Royals do some cool stuff that get to make it. On to the Chiefs. Chiefs will be definitely saying goodbye to Hollywood Brown. We knew he was going to be a free agent when the new league year began, and the Eagles have made it official. They posted it on social media. They have signed him to a 1-year deal. He's going to a newer Chiefs rival in Philadelphia, which I guess if you're an Eagles fan, like, I guess maybe there's some question marks there about A.J. Brown in the future there, all that stuff. But for For Kansas City, did you expect this move, Gabe?
I didn't expect him to come back to Kansas City. I don't know if I necessarily gave much thought to where he would potentially go.
Yeah.
But I think that this was kind of the way things were going to go. The first year of him in Kansas City was completely derailed by the injuries. And I think even when he was out there this past year, there were some pop plays, like the play in Brazil, the long catch that he had. He was tied for the team lead in receiving touchdowns last year.
He had a great game against the Raiders.
Yeah, and so he had some success, at least in the red zone for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But I don't think that he was critical to anything for the Chiefs, if we're being honest, in terms of last year. And just based on his career bill of health and the wide receiver room as a whole that the Chiefs have put around him and put around Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, it's just a lot of similar skill sets in or body types. So I think people are okay with this. I don't think it's going to generate a lot of concern or worry or sadness from anybody that he's gone. And
what about the little kids with the Hollywood Brown jerseys?
Yeah, there you go. I don't know if there were a lot of people who even bought those jerseys, but from an Eagles standpoint, I don't know if he's going to be just their third or fourth option, or if this means that they are maybe planning to move on from A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
It's only a one-year deal, so it's not like they've committed a ton of money, resources, or time to him. But it kind of feels like this is the start of him like bouncing around the league for the next however many years before his career is over, because this is his fourth team and third team in the last 4 years. So who knows? Good luck to him.
Good luck to Hollywood. It felt expected, just because like you brought up how they all kind of have similar builds and body types and all that. You know, when it comes to the speed thing, it's like, okay, well, him and Xavier Worthy both kind of bring similar skill sets to the table. Xavier Worthy has kind of proven to maybe be their favorite there going forward, builds from the youth in the roster, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, with taking him with a first-round draft pick. So, yeah. It felt like he never quite lived up to what Chiefs fans thought they were going to get from signing Hollywood Brown and the speed that he brings. Like, I remember when he first got signed, like, 2 years ago, everyone was just talking about, like, speed, like, he's going to get downfield, blah, 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 and it just never really ended up happening.
Yeah.
A lot of that due to injury. But, and then
he just hasn't been the guy that he was at Oklahoma and the guy that he was at the start of his time in Baltimore. He has not been in Arizona and Kansas City, and injuries are a large reason to blame for that.
Yeah. Well, we'll miss you, Hollywood Brown. Have fun in Philadelphia. Get the pretzels. Get the cheesesteaks. They're yummy. That brings us to college basketball. I've left about 20 minutes for us to talk about college basketball. And before we get into March Madness, we'll start with the All-Americans that came out today. And a Kansas City kid, Keaton Wagler, star freshman for Illinois, who is now projected as a first-round NBA draft pick, who just had a crazy breakout year, is a second-team All-American, averaging about 18 points a game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Crazy year for Keaton Wagler, who was not recruited really by any Kansas schools when he was here. And he was the number one player in the class of 2025 out of Shawnee Mission Northwest.
Yes.
But yeah, we've kind of been keeping up with Wagler all season. More notably with the AP All-Americans, no KU players.
No KU players. Darren Peterson was an honorable mention.
Yes.
And notably, if you go from the Big 12 angle of things, Big 12 Player of the Year Jaden Bradley was not on any of the teams, the lead guard for Arizona. And Arizona, who won the league, won the best conference in America, and won the conference title, did not get any players in the first, second, or third team.
Yep.
Despite 5 other players winning the All-Conference award or the All-American. There was A.J. DeBonsa was on the first team. J.T. Toppin was on the first team despite the torn ACL causing him to miss six games.
That's nice for him, I suppose, that, they still kind of honored,
I just
what he was
didn't
doing before he got
necessarily
hurt.
believe that Texas Tech, who got a 5 seed, warranted 2 players on the All-American.
Yeah.
I don't know. Christian Anderson was really good. I think that the Wagler thing is really cool just locally.
Yeah.
The stage that he has been on, the showcase that he has gotten, maybe the spotlight of people being like, why was he not recruited by KU or K-State?
Why was he not even K-State not recruiting him? That's crazy.
It's wild. But
crazy.
Illinois didn't think that this guy was going to be
no.
this quickly. His parents, every time I listen to the broadcast, people are like, you know what? We talked to his parents, and they dropped him off in Champaign this summer, and they said, hopefully, who knows, maybe he'll redshirt this year because he might not be ready. He was the 143rd ranked player in the class. There's guys in that realm of player that have redshirted at different schools this year, specifically if they go to power conference schools. So it was within the realm of possibility that could have been the case. Now he's a lottery guy for the NBA next year, and he has a chance. I don't know. I have filled out a bracket. I had Illinois in my Final Four, and I think he's a big reason for it. So that's a little off the board as far as picks go. But I will say this, Katie. I was at the Big 12 tournament last week talking to several people, and we were people who cover the Big 12 bouncing around the who should have won Big 12 Player of the Year debate.
Mm-hmm.
And Jaden Bradley, I would say, validated it with the game winner against Iowa State and the way that he played in the Big 12 tournament title game to beat Houston and do all those things. But DeBonsa, Toppin, Christian Anderson, I'm trying to think of who else was in the top. Was in those first. There's 2 more in the first 3 teams of the AP All-American team, and none of them were Jaden Bradley.
First team All Big 12. Never mind.
And so the argument, what I'm saying is, the conversation was, how many different guys could you make a credible argument for could have won Conference Player of the Year, and as such, with how balanced it is, you could argue should have been an All-American. And I think of that 10-guy team, because I one of the dumber things that happens is the conference does a 10-player first team.
Yeah.
That's stupid, ridiculous. We need to stop it.
Give many people
5
trophies.
people are on a team.
Give everybody a trophy.
For conference awards. But my take was, I think you could have made an argument for 6 to 8 guys being the Big 12 Player of the Year, just based on the combination of statistics, team winning, all of those. Nobody checked every single box.
Yeah. And
this is evidence of that, is that the guy who won the award wasn't viewed as a top 15 player in the country.
Yeah.
By the AP.
With JT Toppin tearing his ACL and missing the final half of the Big 12 season, I think if he doesn't tear his ACL, JT Toppin still probably is the Big 12 Player of the Year, back to back. But there are coaches in the Big 12 who very much believe that you should base who you vote the Big 12 Player of the Year off of who is the best player on the team that won the conference, the regular season title. Maybe not all coaches think that, but I have heard multiple coaches say that.
If he won it, that seems to be the prevailing opinion.
Yeah, exactly. So that's probably why they ended up going with that route. But yeah, so no KU players. I'm trying to think, when was the last time there were no KU players in the All-American list?
Did Hunter Dickinson get one
last year?
I think he
was one last year.
He may have gotten one or not. But I think that this is kind of and I was having a conversation with someone as we get into this conversation about March Madness and KU and Mizzou and what they're doing. But I think some of the worry is that KU is going to lose, and maybe lose uncompetitively at some point, whether it's St. John's or whether it's Duke or whoever they end up losing to. And
not even thinking of Cal Baptist.
no, I'm not thinking of Cal Baptist. I watched all of
or
the WAC
Northern Iowa
championship game. Yeah. Well, you know what? I think Northern Iowa could get St. John's, and I said that to Mark yesterday. So I want that on the record that I am
clip it
in my bracket. I am picking Northern Iowa to beat St. John's.
Ooh.
That is on my official takes.
Then does KU get revenge in the second round?
I think so.
Okay.
I think they're going to lose to Duke, and I feel
I have the same
comfortable
thing in my
taking
bracket.
that swing because I think anybody who gets through it is losing to Duke.
Yeah.
But I was talking to someone who has had season tickets for KU basketball for 20 plus years, and the conversation was, if you look at Duke, if you look at Michigan, and you look at Arizona, some of the things, and Florida for that matter, some of the trend of the like pace and space college basketball era has now gotten back to, yeah, you want to play fast and you want to be super athletic, but you also really want to be big and menacing in the front court. All of the one seeds have that case, and I think that KU, maybe you're not going to get it with this version of this roster and Darren Peterson on the roster, and it's not going to line up for that to be a national title level team. But we saw a KU team in 2020, 2021, the bubble year, where they went to Indianapolis and they lost by 30 plus to USC in the round of 32, and everybody wanted to get a whole new roster and change things over and such. And KU largely ran it back with the same group, added Remy Martin, added Jalen Coleman-Lands, and then just developed guys.
Yeah.
And took a step forward the next year.
Isn't it?
And so what I'm saying is, as we focus on March Madness and as people have this maybe worry or this panic mode of, oh, Kansas wasn't that good this year, I think the most important thing for Bill Self, assuming that he comes back next year, is them retaining Flory and Bryson Tiller.
Yeah.
And then adding a third playable big, because if we're being honest, Paul Mbia is not that. And build from that core. Build from that core of that front line and put some guards together and keep some of the returners. I know everybody's down on Jamari McDowell. He can at least shoot it.
Yeah.
And you don't want to have to replace all 7 or 8 or 9 rotation guys every single year. So even what I'm saying at the end is, even if KU has an ugly March Madness loss, they should not scrap the whole roster and just be like, oh, even because Jalen Wilson was awful against USC in that loss in 2021, and he was a critical part of the national title team the year later.
And
same thing with Ochai, David McCormick, all of those things. So don't miss the whole forest for one game.
Yeah, agree, especially with an East region that is just so, I mean, they're in there with the number 1 overall seed. Michigan State, I have personally beating Duke and going to the Final Four. I think that'll make
newsroom that's gonna like
that'll
that
make
pick.
our boss very happy. I hope you heard that, Josh. But I watched Michigan State beat
they just do this.
They just you always count on Tom Izzo winning a few games in March first and foremost. I'm never gonna bet on Tom Izzo to like lose a first round game. But I've watched this Michigan State team play a few games this season, most of which have been against my Maryland Terrapins, who are not in the bracket this year. They won 4 conference games. It was a rebuild year. We had 5 days left in the transfer portal window after we hired our new head coach. And that is also why I'm very anti-Villanova. So if Villanova loses and Kevin Willard loses,
so you're a Utah State
happy Katie. I
fan.
picked Utah State to upset Villanova. They lost to Georgetown, who was the 11 seed in their conference tournament in the first round, and that made me really happy. You know who didn't lose their first round game in their conference tournament? The Maryland Terrapins.
Yes, they beat Oregon.
We were the first 17 seed to ever win a game in a tournament in March. I just want that on the record.
The first 17 seed to ever play a game
yes.
in a conference tournament. Yeah,
not incorrect. But we still made history because we beat the 16 seed, Oregon. But enough about my woes and Gabe's woes with Arizona State. We are just 2 people who don't truly have a dog in the fight this year. But first 2 games are tonight. The next 2 are tomorrow night. Tonight, it's UMBC and Howard. They've actually already tipped off. Right now, Howard's up 14-11. UMBC is the only school from the state of Maryland that's in March Madness, so I'm going to root against them. And Texas and NC State are going at that. Who do you think is going to take that matchup?
I think Texas. I also think that the winner of tonight's game is beating BYU.
Ooh.
On Thursday.
I
am just not a believer in BYU, and every time that they play a team with a real pulse, they typically get beat.
Yeah, I think I have them going to the Sweet 16, but then losing there.
BYU?
Yeah.
You have them getting past Gonzaga then.
I do have them getting past Gonzaga. I do.
So what else? Let's go through the bracket then. What else do you have as
trying to find my bracket. Where'd it go?
I think that this is the time of the week where people have started to really know what they believe as far as picks, upsets. I'm staking my claim to Northern Iowa beating St. John's.
I like it. My big upsets that I've got South Florida over Louisville.
Okay.
I do have UCF beating UCLA because I don't think UCLA is going to be healthy. Part of me thinks UConn is fraudulent, and I'm still kind of going back and forth on how far I want them to go, but I do have them losing to Michigan State eventually. So I usually love to pick the 5-12 upset. Like, I'm pretty much a lock to pick like 3 every year. This year I only picked 2, I think, and that's because I do think Vanderbilt is really good, and I don't think McNeese is going to get them.
Yeah.
I have Troy over Nebraska because I think that Nebraska ball's curse will continue.
Don't tell Brad Stevens that.
I do think their curse will continue, and I think Troy's going to get them. VCU over North Carolina is also an upset that I have. And that's kind of it for my big upsets. I do have Mizzou upsetting Miami.
Okay.
Oh, and I do have Hofstra upsetting Alabama.
Okay, so you're a Cruz Davis believer.
My brother went to Hofstra, so we're
you're
a
not
Hofstra
biased
household.
at all. You're not biased at
all.
Not
biased.
You're just a Pride fan.
I would have picked Bama to win, and then now they don't have their second best player, and now I'm feeling the upset energy, like the vibes. They're just in the air, and I'm like, you know what? Let's pick Hofstra. And then I do think that Miami, Ohio is going to win their first 4 game tomorrow and then beat Tennessee.
Yeah. So
boom. And I also think Miami, Ohio is going to beat Virginia.
This is like the fire hose. we're just rolling out takes here.
Yeah.
I think one of the key things to remember with March Madness is seemingly every year there's players, there's teams that had a really good conference tournament week that have flaws that maybe people forgot about as a result of conference tournament week. Mm-hmm. And I think one of those teams is Arkansas, which everyone wants to proclaim has a chance to do the Kemba Walker thing and have Darius Acuff carry them through March Madness in the same way that Kemba Walker did for UConn in 2011. And I want to say this. I think Darius Acuff is an incredible player. I think he's a John Calipari guard. He's a guy that I would draft in the NBA draft if I had a top 10 pick. And if Peterson and DeBonsa and Boozer were gone, he'd probably be the guy that I would pick 4th. But to me, it screams a little bit of people have forgotten the deficiencies of Arkansas, which is that they don't defend consistently, and specifically Darius Acuff doesn't defend very much either. So what I'm saying is, if Florida had not gotten beaten by Vanderbilt in the semifinals, which no one expected, and they lost by 17, so that was kind of an out-of-nowhere result on Saturday afternoon.
Which Vandy's really talented.
Vanderbilt is talented, and I think that Vanderbilt's a Sweet 16 team that will get a rematch with Florida. With that being said, I think that everyone's in on Arkansas getting to the Sweet 16 and Arkansas playing against Arizona, and I'm taking Wisconsin to get past them.
Me too.
In large part because I think that people have – if we had seen Arkansas play Florida on Sunday, I think they would have gotten crushed in the same way that they got crushed in Gainesville on February 28th, and they lost by 35. I think it was the largest defeat in John Calipari's coaching career in the SEC. Mm-hmm. So It feels a little bit like the March Madness year where Oklahoma State had Cade Cunningham, and they won the Big 12 tournament that year, and people were like, oh, Cade Cunningham, 4 seed, Oklahoma State, they could make a run.
Yep.
And then immediately they lost to, I think, Oregon State, who was the 12 seed in the round of 32.
Yeah.
So I'm selling Arkansas stock. That's another take of mine.
I also have Wisconsin taking down Arkansas in the round of 32.
And Wisconsin plays incredibly well against really good teams. They've beaten Michigan this year.
They're playing well right now.
Yeah, they've beaten Michigan State this year.
Who is in your Final Four?
I have Duke, Illinois, Arizona, and Iowa State.
Okay, we have some similarities. We have 2.
And I have Arizona beating Duke in the national title.
Okay, I also have Arizona winning it all. And I'm like, on one hand, I'm like, maybe this is my Big 12 bias showing because I just spend more time covering the Big 12 than any other conference. But, and I do, even though they didn't have the most bids of any of the power conference schools, because the Big 10 had 9 and SEC had 10, I do have Arizona winning it all. And I have a rematch of the Big 12 championship game to do so. I have them beating Houston in the championship. And so my Final Four is Michigan State, Houston, Arizona, and Iowa State.
Okay. So we both have at least 1 3 seed making it, and
yeah,
you have 2 2s. I have 2 1 seeds, a 2 seed, and a 3.
We are not repeating last year with all the 1 seeds in the Final Four.
Yeah, I
don't want to.
I still think it's really top heavy, and I still think that all of the ones, I think most of the 1 through 4 seeds, like I don't really think that any of the 1 through 4 seeds are losing in the first round.
Yeah.
Just because
I don't think I have
any
of those upsets.
Well, you said you had Hofstra.
Oh, I do have
so
Bama
Hofstra
losing.
taking out Bama, but
other than that, because their second best player isn't going to be with them.
Yeah.
So that's my only 4 seed upset.
I just think that the one thing that separates Arizona compared to Duke and Michigan at this point, and Florida, I don't believe in the SEC this year. I know they got a ton of teams in. They have a ton of teams in that are projected not to win their first game.
I don't think Florida's running it back.
So I don't think Florida's going to go back to back. And then Duke, Caleb Foster's hurt, Patrick Gongva's hurt, and then Michigan lost LJ Kaysen. So Arizona is the healthiest of all the ones. They are the hottest of all the ones at the moment. And I think last year everybody was like, oh, Florida became like the trendy national championship pick, and then people kind of worried, and they were like, everybody's picking Florida. Like, should we pick Florida? And I feel like we're doing that with Arizona at this point, where even though they are not the number 1 team in Ken Pom, I think that's Duke at the moment. Arizona is trending the best.
Yeah.
I don't want that to happen.
No.
But I feel like it's going to happen.
I have picked the national champion correctly the last 2 years. So I did. And like when I say I don't think Florida's going back to back, I'm not against picking a back to back winner because I picked UConn to win it 2 years ago back to back.
Yeah.
I was just like, they're just better than every other team in men's basketball by like a mile. UConn was just so dominant the year they won their second straight. And then I picked Florida last year as well. And I definitely had that feeling of like, but now everyone's picking Florida.
Yeah.
Now Florida's not going to win.
Yeah.
But yeah, all 1 seeds in the Final Four. I don't want to see it again. So we're going to hope that Arizona's the only one.
Hope for some crazy.
I want a 10 seed in there. Whoever that may be. It's not going to happen.
Mizzou.
But it'd be fun.
Mizzou?
Yes, 10 seed, yeah. Neil Jones will be there. He'll be super excited about it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all the time we got for today for the madness. Maybe we'll be back with Gabe has his printed out bracket, so maybe we'll be back with more fun another day about that. All right. Thanks for joining us, Casey Sports Tonight. We'll see you tomorrow at 5:30.